All right, y'all. So let's talk about this. So we know recently they did another movie about Michael Jackson, and a lot of people from a new whole different generation was introduced to the life and times. Okay, so the movie success, you know, they're doing a second part because it's 4 hours long, so they broke it down into twos. So I don't know if they're doing a re-editing or whatever they're gonna do. If it's just ready to go, they're just waiting for a certain time frame to launch the second half. Don't know. But anyways, a lot of people you hear like a lot of the kids say, "I didn't know this and that about Michael Jackson" or whatever. Things that they found interesting about the movie, just different things about his life. Now, Netflix decides that they have a documentary about Michael Jackson planned to come out. And what this documentary is meant to do was make Michael Jackson look bad. So a lot of Netflix subscribers have made it clear that if they do this, that they're going to unsubscribe. Now, for me, it's about principles, and I get it and I understand that. So I don't know how much of it is just fanboyism or it's actually about principles. But this has become the norm to this era of time, where just making negative material about people, saying things just to say it. First off, you're going to basically talk about a whole lot of what we already know and a bunch of he said, she said. So to say that you have new footage, what footage? It's no new footage. What new news? What was said that wasn't said before, all this nonsense. This is just what people do. They want to try to tear someone down. And, the thing is, what do you gain by doing this? I'm not at all saying if the man did something, anybody did something wrong, something that was really, really wrong, okay? Really, really wrong, okay? That we should hide it and act like it never happened or whatever. But what I'm saying is, what's the purpose of even making a documentary about it for? And that's all this is. Let's take the king of pop and make him out to be a bad guy. And in fact, the families of the kids that made these accusations, they all came clean and said they all told the truth, that they lied. They told the kids to say it. They were trying to get paid. So what else is it to bring out of this thing? What is it? What else is it? Every story that you see now, even right here on YouTube, the 10 people Big Daddy Kane hated more. The 10 MCs Rakim hated and couldn't stand. Everybody is hate, I can't stand, I hate, I can't stand, I hate this person, I don't like this. This is all you see. This is what we get. So you are now attempting to make a documentary to try to assassinate this man's character. And that's all this is. I mean, we're talking about someone who didn't go to jail. We're talking about someone who beat, basically the things that were said. Look, when shit just doesn't add up, and people say it's because that person got a good attorney, they knew the right things to say, right? Look at what OJ. And America hated OJ. White America, they hated OJ. Right? Or should I say racist America? Because when black people get killed unjustly and things happen, nobody cares. They don't open their voices, lift their voices to speak. And OJ beat the case. So when he went to jail, it wasn't because of the Nicole Simpson thing. The thing was, after he died, years after he died, you have all these different detectives and different people that come on these different documentary shows and speak and say, no, OJ didn't do it. So how do you determine that now, right? Well, it was determined that he didn't do it, why he didn't go to jail in the first place. But why are you so vocal about it now? Why weren't you guys this vocal when he was alive? See, and that's the thing. If you're guilty of something like that, okay, we get it. But when you're not guilty, and you beat this system, a black person on top of that beat this system that white people built, and then you're going to talk about injustice, this system doesn't work for us. It works for you guys. And you see, the thing about it is they want him to be guilty. So now, when you're so vocal in a whole different era of time, people hear stories. And then what happened? Oh, I heard he did this. Before you know it, they're doing a whole O.J. Simpson story again. Now, what happens in this one? No, he didn't beat the system. The truth was revealed. He wasn't guilty. You understand what I'm saying? So what are they going to do now? Make a documentary about O.J. saying, even though he was free, he didn't do jail time, he really did it? Or how did two black men outsmart this whole white system? How? What did they do so special that now all of a sudden all these different people are saying, no, he didn't do it. And they're telling you why he didn't do it and how he could, everything. Well, Michael Jackson's situation is like, everybody, even if, look, Mike Tyson did what he did, right? With this woman, Desiree Washington. He had his situation. He went to jail. Okay. Somebody might do a documentary about Mike Tyson. Somebody might, same thing. They wait, especially if he has something happens where he's a Trump supporter anyway, so fuck him. But the point what I'm saying is people talk like they love you 1 minute. Next thing you know, somebody want to do a story about you to try to make you look bad. The only thing is he was convicted. With Mike Tyson, doesn't matter what he do, his fans don't want him to be guilty. But even with that whole calling somebody 2, 3 in the morning, so what they answered. That doesn't mean that they wanted to fuck. You might have wanted to, but that doesn't mean that that's what that person wanted. Now, only Mike Tyson and her knows if he actually really did it or not. But what happened. Madonna had her situation. Britney Spears had her situation. You had so many people, but they want to target Michael Jackson. Now he's the target all of a sudden. I don't know how many people are actually going to unsubscribe if they do this versus, people just saying that they're going to. Numbers, I don't always understand where people get their numbers from, because I can remember hearing that Netflix had like 700 million subscribers. Now I see a number saying 395 million. I don't know what's what. But one thing I will say, as for this whole situation with Michael Jackson, and this is something that these inconsiderate bastards don't consider. Michael Jackson is gone. He's not here to defend himself. His kids are still here. He has family still here. What do you gain out of trying to make someone look bad? Because years later, you still want someone to be guilty that was innocent. These companies can care less about anybody. They can care less about anything other than making money. And if they can assassinate your character in doing so, they will. If they, do some type of damage, some type of harm to you with their actions, they don't care. They're going to do what they want to do as long as they can get away with it. I will tell you this, though. In terms of, them trying to do damage to, someone's career, to Michael Jackson's career, just be exactly that. You can't, look, I just don't understand the motive. Like what you gain out of it. Like what would make me sit down and say, let me do a documentary on somebody, right? That's dead. That basically was accused of something, but they beat the case. Part of me still want to prove that it's that person's guilty. I don't have proof, but I'm going to bring up things that were said, and then I'm going to, Now, it's one thing when all the evidence say you did something, as opposed to people saying you did something, and then people think you might have done it because you're a little bit on the strange side of, you're different from other people, because that's the type of stuff they said about Michael Jackson. But what makes you say that he actually did it? It's not the evidence. It's just what people said. There was no evidence. There was claims, and that's the difference. What people don't understand. We got people right now that's a part of Trump's campaign, including himself, felony charges, statutory rape. Yeah, we got people in high positions that beat charges. Nobody's making documentaries about them. So if Michael Jackson, it's almost like if you notice, just say for example, right? This is what you can call a dark era of programming. Example: Popeye has always been a fun character, right? Winnie the Pooh, right? Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Cinderella, right? All Rapunzel, all these, right? But they have made characters out of them, like on a negative side, where they're like bad guys, they're killers, they're murderers, right? It's just a movie, right? But my point is, that's the thing. Everything now has to be dark. Everything now has to be on the negative side. So yeah, this is what the documentary is meant to do. We got evidence that people didn't bring up and all this kind of. You don't have evidence. You have claims. There's no fucking evidence. If the writers had the evidence, where they get the evidence from? Right? So okay, didn't that mean Michael Jackson would have been locked up? But let's just make something negative, and let's let the people know why he should have been locked up. Right? Let's say all of this bullshit about him and try to get people to look at him in a negative light. For everything, like, I can remember something like one day, right? This was probably around 7-8 years ago. Remember when Pee Wee Herman passed away? So I remember this guy whenever he died, I'm saying 7-8 years ago, might not have been that long. However long it was, whenever Pee Wee died, I remember this guy was sitting here talking, and we were laughing because I was in a laundromat, right? And they had the TV up, and Pee Wee's Big Adventure was on. And when I was a kid growing up, me and my little sister used to watch that movie. He was just a funny dude to watch, man. He was just silly. He just made you laugh, just his facial expression, the little goofy laughs and stuff he did. So we would laugh. We were little kids. So I can remember we were in a laundromat. Now this is years later though, of course. So Pee Wee had died. And I can remember when we were there watching, and this one guy's like, man, I grew up watching that, right? And like, it was just funny. And I'm like, yeah, I'll say, yeah, it was a funny ass movie. And this other guy is like, yeah, man, could you believe that motherfucking guy? Guy went in he said he went in the theater and was masturbating or some shit or whatever. And I looked at him and I said, hey, listen here. You see two grown adults here, right? I said, we're not trying to sit here and talk about what this man did touching himself or whatever. Why the fuck would you feel the need to bring that up? That's his business. Right? No, I'm just saying. I said, right. I hear what you say. That's the point. I don't want to hear what the fuck you're saying. But me and him were talking. Oh, sorry. I went on over, got his clothes. But it's always somebody who want to. Now, check what I'm saying. Was that some weirdo shit? Yeah. Is it some shit that I would do? No. Or condone? No. But again, you got racism going on. You got people out here being murdered. You got kids being shot by police. Right? You got all this kind of shit going on. And this is the point what I'm saying. Not just now. Back then as well, all that. Let's bring up something that I can care less about. The hell do I want to hear about somebody touching themselves and doing that? Man, we ain't talking about none of that. It's not like he went and did it in front of a bunch of kids. I'm just saying, like, but what would make him? So here's what I'm saying. So we enjoy the movie. You decide you want to come bring that up. Okay, but at the same fucking time, right? The guy that was saying that shit, he had a shirt on. And what shirt did he have on? A Hulkamania shirt, right? So I could have said to him, Yeah. Says the man wearing a shirt of a fucking racist. The fuck out of here, man. But this is what I'm saying. So let's choose to talk about something Pee Wee did, which nobody wants to sit and talk about. This, that's his business. But let's overlook what this racist piece of shit did. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so people like to pick and choose. So bottom line is Michael Jackson beat that case and lived his life and moved on and went on, and years later, years and years later. And then when he passed away at 50 years old, he was gone. Now here in 2026, let's make a documentary to try to make the man look bad. And that's what this is. See, this is what I tell you guys, man. There's things that we subscribe to because we enjoy it. There's things that we watch, things that we do. But one thing you can always count on is people are going to be people, for better or worse. And I feel like, if Netflix can go this far to try to, make this documentary, to try to make this man look bad, people should. Hey, look, people, I can't blame people for unsubscribing. I can't blame people for saying, because let's be real. And I'm going to be honest with you. There is always something that you can find. Something. Even if it's, I saw this already. But be honest with you, there's really not much of shit going on Netflix. There's really not a whole lot going on. Especially with the new stuff, like anything new or something that's straight to Netflix, there is really not a lot happening. And it's a bittersweet thing because certain movies that they get, it's like, okay, you might like this or might like that. And so now you got a library of movies that, okay, I do have my go-to movies type of thing, right? But then you like, there's stuff that you stay away from. I just feel like this is a sucker move, though. This is really some sucker shit, and Netflix really need to be ashamed of themselves for that. They really should. But again, this is this era of time we be in. Now, why you think a lot of people, like, for example, that bullshit 50 Cent does? I'm not sticking up for Diddy. Diddy did what he did, and he deserved what he deserved to be locked up. But here's a guy, you already know what 50 Cent, what the issue with this dude is. But when I'm saying that's all that people do. Let's make something dark, something just like let's try to piss on somebody who's already dead, right? Let's just make this documentary to expose him. Expose what? And that's the thing. People don't understand the difference between opinions and facts. And the type of money Michael Jackson made and his popularity, there is no way that motherfucker was guilty and walked. Just like OJ wasn't guilty, people want him to be guilty. All the evidence should know. I tell you, like I said, I had situations. Example, I told this story before, and it was a long time ago, so I'm going to tell it again. I can remember a guy I was cool with one time. He had bought a car. The car he bought was a stick. There was a place, a big store that had closed down, so they had a nice big parking lot. So most people, that's what they used to do at night. They would drive down there at night because the parking lot was real big, so you could practice all your parking and just driving in general because it was a really big parking lot. And with the big, like the light posts, the big yellow cement barrels around them and all, like everything, you could like pull up, turn, get the feel of the car, all that type of stuff. So he didn't know how to drive a stick really. So the guy that sold the car to him, he drove in the car with him. I drove my car. So when we got back to the house, we drove the guy back to the dealership. And, so my guy, cool, tonight we go down there. So we went down there so he could test drive and everything. Now we get down there. I tell him, as soon as we get to the parking lot, I say, just stay in the front. For some reason, his goofy ass goes to the back. Soon as we get to the back, I'm like, yo, turn. He's like, oh, shit. There's a police car sitting there. Now, this place is closed down. It's nighttime. It's late at night on top of that. So why would anybody be driving back there? So I could understand the police being suspicious, right? But I'm looking at this acorn head motherfucker like, yo, I told your dumbass to stay in the front, man. So he turns around, so we go in the front. They coming behind us. I said, man, stop right here. And when the motherfuckers pull up, because they pulled next to us instead of behind us. So they pulled. I said, ask him, can you test drive the damn car? It irritated me right away because now you're putting me in a position where I told your dumbass not to go to the back. I told you stay in the front. No need for us to go to the back. If it's stupid ass just driving and just went straight to the fucking back. So black cop and a Spanish cop. Black cop is on the driver's side. Black cop go, y'all doing something wrong. Looked at him. I said, hey, can he test drive this car or not? I said, it's a new car. It's a stick. And he's just trying to get the feel of it. So the Spanish guy goes, yeah, just stay in the front. Hey, it's his car, not mine. I'm just asking because he sitting there ain't saying shit. So they pull off and he test drive. We go back home. Okay? Now at the time, I'm letting him stay with me because they ain't had nowhere to go. Next day, now we were real cool, but he just get on my damn nerves with dumb shit. So next day, I had to go to AutoZone. So while I'm down there, I had grabbed a couple of air fresheners. I already had some shit to, wipe down and clean. Now he had just bought the car. I'm like, damn. I said, man, your car look like a drug dealer's car, man. He's like, I know, right? The clutch was all super loose. Had the tinted windows and shit, man. It was like a green colored, kind of like a turquoise type green or whatever, with like champagne colored tint in the windows and shit. Shit had like the gold rims on it and all or whatever. It just looked like a drug dealer's car. Smelled like weed. Now, he had just bought this from a place called Kenny's. Just bought it. It was right down the street from the house we used to live in, right? Man, when this motherfucker, like where you put the change and shit in your car, little components, dimes of coke, bags of weed. I'm like, yo, what the? And he like, now, when you buy a car, they supposed to clean all that shit out, wipe everything, inside, outside, take care of you, right? This dude, his car was fully loaded with drugs, all right? Man, they had the one little console right behind the seat. When I'm checking everything. I'm like, bro, you better check all this shit, everything, man. So, bottom line is, when we checked everything, we got rid of the damn drugs and shit. And I'm like, you need to talk to this motherfucker, man. That shit in your damn car, we done left it. Now, he done drove it off campus, right? So, of course, they gonna deny it and say he didn't, whatever. But, so he checking the car, and we got, just like, man, get rid of this shit, man. Let me tell y'all something. Just think about this. If those cops would have decided, hey, man, like, these guys doing something wrong, I want y'all to picture this. Okay? Picture us being the cops deciding they're going to search his car. It's his car, not mine. Now, my fingerprints ain't on shit, neither is his, because the drugs are not ours. But can you imagine us telling the police that and them believing it? Saying my shit, I don't smoke, drink, do nothing. I don't sell this shit. I work, motherfucker. Hey, whatever. But bottom line, just imagine. What made y'all drive to the back of the building? We didn't do shit. This motherfucker drove to the back of the building. I told his ass to stay in the front, because that's pretty much what happened. But just imagine what I'm saying. There's drugs in the car. We're telling them that the drugs are in the car already. Then we pull up saying we're test driving the car. But we drive it to the back of the building instead of the front. Just saying. You think they're going to buy that? Now, of course, when you go check for fingerprints and all that, neither one of our prints on it. But do you think that they're going to buy that? Anybody hearing that story going to be like, them niggas lying. Them motherfuckers was probably going back to that motherfucker to get high and shit, or probably had somebody who's going to meet him back there, or everybody going to start drawing conclusions. But thankfully, that night, That's not what happened. The cop pulled next to us, you know, said whatever, we said whatever, and then they went on about their business, and then we drove on off. But I'm saying, think of what could have happened. How many people do you think would have believed that story, that these two black men happened to be in a car that just happened to be sold to them with drugs in it already? So no matter what the truth is, the absolute lie, the false narrative is what sound more believable in that situation. So again, you know, it's like people who do time in prison for shit they didn't do. 35 years later, now all of a sudden the judge decides that you're innocent of the crime because they found more leads after doing more research. But after doing more research, and in that time that they're doing research, your ass is in jail for something that you didn't do. You know, and that's where I'm saying, when you look at this whole situation, for these people to want to try to do a documentary about Michael Jackson, this is bullshit, man. And not to mention that, you know, like I said, the guy is dead. But this is what they do. They make money off you even when you're dead. And you want to know what? They don't send anything to your family. Oh no, they don't send anything to your family. You basically, they try to give you a bad name, and then pretty much you just find yourself in a situation, or your family in this position, in this case, find themselves in the position of, now you have a new generation of people walking around repeating things that's not true. But it's always more fun to believe lies and bullshit than the truth. So that's just a harsh reality, it's a sad reality, because people are just freaking stupid. But this is what they're trying to do. And see how things go. If they start advertising for it and they start losing subscribers, you know, businessmen and women are very arrogant. They'll probably still go through with it anyway, and just risk losing people, and then just figure out how we'll get more people to subscribe. Because let's not get it twisted. You got a lot of assholes out here that don't care about the truth or principles or morals. I feel like it's just an immoral thing. It's irresponsible, especially when there's no way in the fuck that you got access to any evidence that the police don't have, or whoever didn't. You know, there's no way your ass got access. And once something becomes public records, okay, well then you'd be completely saying something different than what the public records say. So what would be your fucking motive for doing this? It doesn't matter if it's true or false. As long as the people feed into it and we make money, that's all they care about. Anyways, y'all, tell you what y'all think about this whole Netflix trying to make a documentary to make Michael Jackson look bad. You know, what happened. He beat the case. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm not there to know exactly who did what, but only Michael knows and the people involved. And those people can't claim to say he never did it. So what are we doing? What are we talking about? Anyway, that's all I got for you guys right now. Catch you guys on the next video.